Hello everyone, welcome to the TalentTEK. Today we will talk about the API testing, how to do API automation testing, and what are the tools that are available to you, and a little bit of description about the API testing, like what are the things you need to know in order to do the API testing. As an automation engineer, it's a good thing to know that API testing because most of the companies nowadays are looking for somebody who has API testing knowledge. So pretty much we are going to demonstrate you guys how to do the API testing manually as well as automation. And in this video we're gonna just give the description. It's like a introduction of the API testing. So let me go ahead and show you the demonstration that I designed in PowerPoint. So let's talk about the API automation. What are the things that we're going to be talking about today? So those are the contents. The first thing we're going to talk about what is API testing and what is the advantages of doing the API testing, and the architecture of the API, and the types of the tools that are available in the market for you to do the testing, API testing, and what is Postman and how the Postman works, what is collection in Postman, what is variables in Postman, and how to do the testing in Postman, because we are going to do the demo in Postman, and we're also going to tell you like why we choose Postman in order to do the API automation testing. Alright, so let's go ahead and understand the definition. So first of all, API stands for Application Programming Interface. API testing is nothing but it's a test that does behind the scene, pretty much like it's nothing has to do with the UI. For example, like when you do a testing using the Selenium, like you go ahead and open a browser and do your testing. So it's completely different than what you doing with the Selenium. It's pretty much like your application is under construction, or like your UI is not ready to test. You still can go ahead and do your testing through the API, right? And this is the book's definition. If you want, you can go ahead and read it. And the advantage of the API testing is the first one, the major important advantage for API testing is it tests of core functionality. That means what? It helps you to expose the small errors that can become a larger problem during the GUI testing. So like it does capture the small mistakes during the API testing, where you can make those mistakes in the Selenium test. And time effective, it saves lots of time. For example, like if you have 100 test cases that are running in the Selenium, it might take up to like a couple of hours, like 4 or 5 hours or 3 hours, depends on the scenario. But for API testing, 100 requests or 100 test cases might take less than 2 to 3 minutes. Okay, and the test quality, like what happened with the API testing, as I said, as I mentioned earlier, like that if your front end is not ready, but your back end is ready, pretty much like that database is hooked up, like back end job is done, you can go ahead and do the testing. So when you start testing your application ahead of time before the user interface is ready, you're gonna find the bug sooner, and that can be fixed and tested before before UI is ready. So pretty much like it's gonna give you good quality of the software. Second thing, it finds all the errors in your Q environment or dev environments. And second thing is it finds a lot of bugs sooner is when you do the continuation integration. Like for example, as I said, Selenium test might take 100 test cases to execute it. It might take 2 to 3 hours, where API testing might take only 2 to 3 minutes, right? So what happened is like developer, what it does right now in these days, they take the Selenium, the API script and put into their development pipeline, which means like they run whenever they do a commit, when they do a changes into the dev work, they connect the API automation script into the development pipeline. So whenever they do a build, is go ahead and do the continuation integration testing for you. So you find the bug sooner, and as soon as find the bug, and developer go ahead and fix the bug, QA go ahead and test. So it gives you like overall the process, it gives you a best quality of the software, like your software become healthier, right? And the fourth one is like fast release. So if the testing doesn't take too much time, then of course the release is going to go smoother and faster, right? So pretty much API testing also helps you to do the release faster than you can imagine. And let's talk about a little bit of API architecture, like what are the things you need to know in order to perform API testing, right? So the main three things you need to know is about the API, which is the HTTP headers and HTTP request and status code and response code, right? So the headers means it contains two things: authorization and content type. So authorization pretty much is like in order to do a test, you might need to bypass or pass user ID and password inside the header, right? And you also need to confirm, you need to tell the system like whether you returning the response code you are returning or the request you are sending, what are the content type. Like for example, currently like we are using either JSON or XML, right? So those are the two content types that are we are currently widely using it, right? So you need to also specify the content type in your headers while you're doing the testing. And the main thing is HTTP requests, right? So those are like the four methods that can be done through the API testing, which is a post, put, get, and delete, right? So post means like when you're creating a new entity, post will help you to create something new. Put means like something you already created but you are going to update it using the put, right? And get is like when you're retrieving the data from the database, right? So get is going to help you to retrieve all the data, and the delete is going to when you want to delete an entity. So those are the four things that you will be doing it, and those are the four major things HTTP requests or HTTP methods are being used for API testing, right? And the next slide is we're talking about the types of the tools for API testing. What are the tools that are available in the market for you to do the testing? So Postman helps you to do the manual testing as well as automation testing, right? And the second thing is a risk line. Risk line, it's only used for manual testing. And then SOAP UI, it's an automation, which is a very old tool, which is like fancy. You need to pay for it. And then you need to have Whistler file and stuff like that, which is like very big mess. Back in the days, people used to use the SOAP UI very widely. And then there is a Poster, which is an add-on, like you go ahead and you do your test. And then Rest Assured, which is like it's like goes through, you can write code using Java, and then Rest Assured is just the Java client, one of the client that you can use for the API testing, which is like you need to know a lot of coding, right? And then Swagger, it's good tools to do the manual testing, and also Swagger helps the product managers or product people who are gathering the information or requirements for you. So Swagger also being used in a lot of companies nowadays to write the requirements, okay? And you can do a little bit of testing in Swagger, like manual testing, right? So the reason we chose Postman is because you can do both testing, manual testing and as well as automation. Second thing is free. And the third is generate the HTML report for you at the end, and you also have ability to run your Postman inside the command prompt as well. So out of all these tools, like I think the Postman is one of the best tools. It's free. You can do both manual or automation testing. You can share the collections. You can do a lot of stuff. And in our future videos, we're going to show you like what are the things you can be done through the Postman, right? So let's look at the next slide, which is talking about how to install the Postman. Postman is nothing but an add-on in the Google Chrome. So you're going to go ahead and Google Chrome, you're just going to go to the extension and then add a tools called search for a tool called Postman, and that's it. And once it's installed in your Chrome, you're just going to launch it as an application, right? And how the Postman works, so this is the steps that you need to know about the Postman, like in order to make a call, API call. So those are the things available, like as we talked about in the previous slides. Those are the HTTP request or method like get, put, post. You need to select one of these, then you need to fill up those information in the header, and then inside the body, and then you send the calls, right? So you will be knowing these things after a couple of videos, like after this. So this is the introduction video. So the next video is going to be about the post request, and then we're going to make one video for get, put, and one for delete, right? And so on. So just look at the next videos for more information how the Postman works, and then how to do the collections, what is collection means, and how you're going to import or export the collections, and how you're going to set up the environment variables, why you do need to set up the environment variables, and how you're going to do actual testing using the Postman, like how you're going to make the automation testing versus how you're going to do the manual testing. So in our next video, we will be showing all those three things, right? And pretty much it. So look for the next video, and we will talk about the post method in Postman. Okay. So thank you for watching this video. If you have any questions, please subscribe, write comment, and subscribe these channels to the others. so that people can go ahead and learn how to do the API testing, automation, and as well as manually. Okay, thank you. Have a nice day.